Spider-Man has always been my favorite superhero, and I think till I die, he'll remain my favorite superhero. And it's wild to me that the last time I felt he had a successful show was maybe more than 15 years ago. The Spectacular Spider-Man to me is Spider-Man at his peak. And then we got Ultimate Spider-Man, which I didn't really enjoy, I didn't really mesh with it, and then Spider-Man 2017 came along and I really didn't mesh with that either, to the point where I haven't seen like 99% of that show. So when Marvel finally announced that they were making a new Spider-Man show, for all ages by the way, because you know, Spidey and his amazing friends exists, I was so excited, but skeptical. Would this show be its own thing, or would this be tied down to the MCU? And the most important question, would it even be good? Welcome back to Browntable, where we wish we could web sling, but we make do. And today we're talking about the first 2 episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and why they're good. Yeah, I think they're good. When Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man started showing off clips and stills, I was a bit hesitant. I think some of it was revealed during Comic-Con and it just didn't look very good. I approached the show with hesitancy. They have a weird way of delivering the origin, like the spider comes out of a portal? What's going on? And the visual style was not what I expected. Again, like we haven't had on other than Spidey and his amazing friends, okay? I'm not talking about that one, like, I'm talking all ages. We haven't had a Spidey cartoon that's CG since the MTV Spider-Man show. So for me, I was like, whoa, I thought this was gonna be a 2D animated show. Especially with the designs coming from Leonardo Romero, who is just a fantastic artist. His art is breathtaking to me. I feel like even though the show at times it can look a little wonky, I do think that the show executes his artistic style in a way that feels satisfying. Like when the show isn't using 3D models, you can see what I'm pretty sure are his illustrations in the background. And again, being wary of something is totally fine, like that's why trailers and promos exist. It's for the audience to go, do I want to watch that? Does that look good to me, you know? But it's always important to give stuff a chance, unless it like just truly doesn't interest you at all. And for me, it's Spider-Man. The majority of the crew involved, they seem awesome, so I gave the show a chance. And yeah, the aftermath of the spider bite scene is glossed over, but the events that lead to it are very cool, and the show has not been advertising itself well enough because for the majority of the show, it visually looks really good. Now, this is an alternate version of the MCU, but not a direct prequel, which is great because even though it does bother me that this is essentially almost too goody two-shoes Tom Holland version of Spider-Man, the show doesn't have to be bogged down by the events of the MCU. It can do its own thing. A huge thing right off the bat is that Peter has already lost Uncle Ben pre-Spider-Bite. And while it seems his death isn't a direct impact of Peter's failures, it has led to him having to grow up in certain ways faster than usual.
Things have been different without having Uncle Ben around, but you have always had my back. And I really appreciate that.
As I was writing this, I was just on the internet and I realized that I'm pretty much very close to being right. The writer of the show, Jeff Trammell, in a Reddit AMA, wanted this version of Peter to have been taught Ben's lessons throughout his life. And it wasn't a one-and-done line that completely shaked his foundation. With great power comes great responsibility. I'm not sure if Ben ever said that. I'm not sure if, since this is like MCU adjacent, Aunt May will eventually say that. I don't know. Either way, it's an interesting new direction, and it makes sense as to why Peter from the start is just a good dude. Whether you like that or not is up to you. I think it's definitely a choice, but I don't think it is so devastating that it just ruins the show and ruins the character here. Now at the beginning, the show has a really cool action sequence with Doctor Strange and a random symbiote coming out of a portal. I feel like the writing of this show is really awesome. I'm gonna go into it a little further down this video, but I do want to say, showrunner Jeff Trammell is doing a tremendous job with this show. I feel like Spider-Man in TV shows, I feel like his shows have felt way less soap opera-y and melodramatic in recent years compared to shows like, you know, Spectacular compared to the 90s Spider-Man. This show feels like a return to formula in that sort of regard, and again, I'll talk about that later. The characterization of this version of Peter is already solid. He's out here throwing himself into danger despite himself, like bro really was gonna throw down with a whole symbiote. And the prequel comics do show that Peter's a good guy from the start, who struggles to use his abilities, even quitting being Spider-Man until he can figure out how to use them correctly, which was very cool to see. In the prequel series, he fights the Enforcers. If that makes it into the actual show, I don't know if that's gonna happen. What I do know is that though the show takes a ton of creative liberties, and it is this clumsy, nice kid version of the character that the MCU has pushed, Spider-Man here definitely feels like Spider-Man to me. Peter is missing a certain level of rudeness and edge to him at times, but we do feel him to be the underdog, which is very, very important. He's at a school that's focused on sports, unlike Midtown, where he was originally supposed to go, which I just realized is a nice return to form, because in the MCU, Peter's very much in a school that's very academics-oriented, so characters like Flash Thompson aren't like Flash Thompson, they're also just, academically gifted and stuff. He has a friend who's an introvert, he's in love with someone out of his league, and this person he's into used to babysit him, so dude, don't even try, you're cooked. I think the greatest compliment I have for this show is that this show is what I wish MCU Spider-Man was. It feels like a better version of Homecoming, and it feels like this version of the character is fully focused on the core aspect of the character, which is a responsibility to his neighborhood, to his city. Being Spider-Man prevents him from getting to the places he needs to. It prevents him from being honest to people that need honesty.
I messed up, and I wish that I could explain why, but I can't.
It's like that one scene in Spider-Man Homecoming where Peter is longingly looking at this party that he wishes he could attend and he can't, and it's like that vibe, but like the entire show is that vibe. It's awesome. The sense of dual identity is so important to me. It's one of the most engaging parts of the character. But what's even better is that in this show, if you take away Peter, I still feel like his supporting cast are real people that exist and live in the world the universe has created. Currently for the first 2 episodes, because that's who's most focused on, it would be Nico Minoru and Lonnie Lincoln. It's not like Ned, like I don't really know who he is outside of Peter. And even MJ in the MCU movies, like yeah, both her and Ned get better characterization in No Way Home, but I feel like they could have done so much better. They're no Harry, they're no MJ, they're no Gwen. It's not the same. In this show, you understand Nico to be an empathetic introvert who is Peter's genuine friend. She wants to engage in activities with him, but he abandons her, and she's just alone in this party that she believed she would attend with Peter as her friend.
Guess you got busy. I'm bailing on this party. Talk to you later.
It's not super delved into the show yet, but the prequel comics make it clear that she wants to define herself in high school and not be who everyone wants her to be. And even better, Lonnie Lincoln, he's this jock in this school, he's like a superstar football player. He feels larger than life and is incredibly friendly, but he's just a guy that isn't living a perfect life. He is making the most of it though. He faces discrimination, he goes back home to his family, and we perceive his neighborhood and who he cares about. Earlier in an episode, he takes the initiative to partner up with Peter. He wants to learn from him, and he takes this eagerness to learn and his intelligence and applies it to helping his brother with his homework and figuring out how to fix his mother's car so they don't have to spend money at a mechanic. It's fairly subtle and it's done really, really well. There's just so much going on. This show doesn't just care about Spider-Man, it cares about its entire cast of characters and attempts to define them as clearly as possible. The writers care for the people in the story, and of course, Spider-Man cares for people in the story similarly. Truly just a character-defining moment. There's a whole scene where Spider-Man stops a robber who stole some money from a convenience store, but then he asks the store owner to let her go, as all she did was take money out of desperation. There's this sense of goodwill, a humanity and understanding of people and their situations that make me go, wow.
You made a mistake. Just please don't make me regret this.
I'm watching a hero in action right now, and it's really cool to see. This isn't a goofy, haha, you're cringe, Spider-Man, cue monkey noises. This isn't a Spider-Man that messes up and goes, oh no, silly me. This is a Spider-Man that you feel like if you see fall, he'll get back up and not do some dumb shit in the process. Even the dumbest thing he does, which is stupidly change in a stairwell at fucking Oscorp, you recognize it to be a mistake, and you feel like it won't be a moment that's taken lightly. This isn't, holy shit, you found out who I am.
What the
It's, holy shit, you, Norman Osborn, found out who I am.
You're Spider-Man.
And there's gonna be genuine repercussions to this, good or bad, and they will be handled with the gravity they deserve. This show did not make me miss MCU Peter, or like, this vibe of MCU Peter, wanting so badly to be an Avenger.
I just wanted to be like you.
It's so refreshing to not have him be like, oh man, Mr. Osborn, like I so badly want to work at Oscorp, please, like you're my god. Like he's not glazing like 40,000% of the time. Having Norman replace Tony in this universe is so nice, and it feels like, wow, I'm in Spider-Man's world. Superheroes show up. It doesn't feel like I'm in a superhero world and I'm currently watching Spider-Man. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like it's a very specific vibe. It simply is just making Peter relatable and hopeful, making his supporting cast actually fully realized characters, and it's about letting how Peter treats them and how they treat Peter in response influence the story. And of course, Give me some aura, give me some cool swinging scenes, give me Spider-Man fighting an awesome villain, and in the process, he has to make sure animals are safe, and he's quipping like crazy too. It's so sick.
I don't know where you got those things, but I feel like you definitely voided the warranty.
Like, so much goes on in the show, and while it's not 100% accurate to the comics, the Spider-Man in it still feels like Spider-Man to me. Like how Tobey isn't super accurate, but to me, that's Spider-Man. How Andrew isn't super accurate, but when I see him, yeah, that's Spider-Man. I love how the show characterizes everyone. Everyone feels so distinct and interesting and unique. Like, you have Dr. Whitman, who's just an asshole at Oscorp, and you have Amadeus Cho and the rest of these student scientists there that want to, prove themselves and be good, and they all have these specific personalities. They all treat Peter in different ways. You have Dr. Connors, who's like rooting for him in a way, and she's really kind. That's really cool to see. Everyone either doesn't like Peter or does like him or is indifferent to him, and there's these different personalities that make the world feel lived in, and it makes everything more interesting. Because if you care about the characters, then you care about the world, and Spider-Man cares about the world, so you care about the show. It's definitely an adaptation that I feel some super hardcore Spider-Man fans might take some getting used to, but for me, I feel like when I watched this, I was like, yeah, no, that's Spider-Man to me. And I'm genuinely enjoying the show, and I hope the minor nitpicks that I have get fixed up in future episodes, and honestly, I don't even really have that many nitpicks. I think the show is just really good, and I'm excited to see what comes next. Hey, thanks so much for watching the video. Make sure to check out Interstellar Ranger Commence Browntable's original animated series, and thank you Pichus for this art of Maria from Interstellar Ranger Commence. She's looking so sick. Remember to become a member for early access to videos and exclusive content, and of course make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to become a chair, and you will forever be a part of the Brown Table. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.